2021, I had a goal to read 70 books, cutting across different genres and subgenres of literature. I was very, very excited when I got to the new year, and I'm like, yes, I'm definitely going to do this. However, at the end of 2021, I did not smash my reading goals in terms of the quantity of the books that I wanted to read. But today I'm going to be sharing why I did not smash my reading goals, what happened, and I'm going to be doing a 2021 reading wrap-up of my reading progress so far. So let's get started. Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's Rachel here. As always, hit that subscribe button so you never miss a thing. Hope you guys are doing great. Happy New Year once again. So like I said, from the title of the video, I'm going to be sharing my reading wrap up in 2021. I had a goal to read 70 books. I fell short by quite a lot. I read, I think, 39 books all in all. Some of them were pretty amazing books. Some of them I was like, and some of them were like, But I had a nice reading experience. I think I really read quality books in 2021. Towards the latter half of the year, it got really busy and a lot of things were going on, and I just could not catch it. Like, I just could not. And I entered into this really, really bad reading slump that hopefully by the time this video is going up, I have come out of, because my goodness, that reading slump has been there for like how many months. So I'm just going to be sharing the books that I read in 2021. But yeah, one major thing is that I'm actually okay with the fact that I did not smash my reading goal. So in 2018, I wanted to read 12 books in a year. I smashed that. 2019, I said we're going to up it to 30. I smashed that. 2020, I said we're going to up it to 50. I smashed that. 2021, we're like 70. I'm like, you know, but I'm definitely learning to be okay with not smashing every single aspect of a goal that I have. So for me in 2021, I also wanted to read amazing books that I would remember, cutting across different genres, so non-fiction and fiction, and their different subgenres. And I tried new things out that I wouldn't ordinarily have read. I reignited some old passions in some genres that I had forgotten. I read comic books, I read romance novels, I fell in love with romance characters. You guys can go back and check some of the videos that I uploaded in 2021, some of the reviews that I did. I read amazing thrillers, you know, psychological thrillers that left me like, oh my goodness, you know. So I had a really, really great time, and I'm one person who, whenever I set a goal, I really do like to accomplish it. I mean, there's that amazing feeling that comes when you smash your goals or even go way above what you've set for yourself. But the part of me setting the quantity for myself, I know that yes, I was like, yeah, I want to read 70 books, and that didn't happen. But I had to just find peace with that and just be okay with it and not curl up in a corner like, oh my goodness, no. And I'm gonna still be giving reading tips. I'm gonna still be like giving recommendations and things like that, even in my reading slump. And I remember that at the beginning of 2021, one of the things that I had said in one of my videos when it comes to setting reading goals is that you have to be able to set goals with compassion and, you know, unconditional self-love. You have to understand that you are not tied to your goals or the accomplishment of your goals, and that's something that I've really been learning as time has gone along. So I'm okay with the fact that I did not smash that reading goals. I've come to terms with it. I'm, you know, perfectly good. I mean, it doesn't make me feel inadequate in any sort of way. I'm actually concentrating on the part that I was able to do, and I'm really like having the best time with it. So let me know how your 2021 was. If you set a goal, you smashed it, let me know. Awesome, good for you. If you set a goal, you couldn't smash it, you couldn't get that, you're carrying it over into 2022, awesome as well. The fact that you're still trying makes a whole lot of sense, and I really commend you on that. And if you smashed yours, I commend you on that as well. So let's get into the books that I read in 2021. So this is like a rundown of all the books that I read and just my mini experiences. Some of these books I actually did book reviews on them, independent book reviews on them, so you can definitely go and check them out on my channel. I'll be leaving links or maybe like cards for you guys to click on if you want to finish this video and then go and watch that. That's perfectly fine. So let's get into it. In January, I read Zikora by Chimamanda NGOZI Adichie. That was how I started my year. It's a really short book. I think it was like 35 pages or something. It left me like, oh, like, I think it was beautifully written, because I mean, Chimamanda writes beautifully. It was a beautifully written book, but I thought that it was too short, and the end left me like, Chimamanda, why? And I think that was literally the title of the video. When I put it up, I was like, Chimamanda, why? So you guys can go and definitely check that out. If you're looking for something to come out of a reading slump, this is a good recommendation because it's short and beautifully written. Then secondly, I started the Daily Stoic by Ryan Holiday, and it's like a daily devotional on the Stoic principles and philosophies that were taught by the early Stoics, and I totally started enjoying it. You guys, halfway in the year, I think I fell off the wagon, so I have to go back and start all over again. The amazing thing about it is that you can use it. It's 365 daily devotionals, kind of. Let me call it a devotional. It's like a daily principle book, and each day has its own lesson that you can learn from it. You can use it year in, year out. So I'm excited to go and start again and try and read it all over again. So yeah, that's kind of still going on. Then I read Season of Crimson Blossoms. I think that was by Adam Abubakar Ibrahim. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a nice book. It's a book that I feel like I would love to see on TV. Very perfect, like northern based written book talking about issues that people will not typically talk about, like having affairs, betrayal, sexual relations and things like that with people that you shouldn't have. I would really love to see a movie on this book. In February, I started it off with Memory of Stone by Chiyozoe. Absolutely loved. I thought it was a very great effort and a very great book. It's a fantasy novel. I don't really read a lot of fantasy novels, even if this 2021 I actually tried to read some and they weren't so bad. So yeah, I would definitely recommend if you are looking for a fantasy novel written by an African writer or a Nigerian writer who is even resident in Nigeria. So I think she's doing a phenomenal job and I enjoyed. Then I read Bola Tito, a lovely book which was so nice. It was so beautiful. I don't want to give so much away, but I really enjoyed it. Then I listened to The Tattooist of Auschwitz. It's an audio book, and this book was absolutely phenomenal. This person was a tattooist and he got that job there. He was placed in the concentration camp. Luckily, he didn't die or starve to death, and he found love there, and it just showed the fact that you can literally be about to die in a camp and starving to death, and you guys are there falling in love. It was a beautiful story, and I think the best part about the story is the fact that it's actually real. In March, I read only one book, The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. This is definitely one of my top 5 books of 2021. I absolutely love this book. To think that I had it on my bookshelf since like 2019 or so, and I never read it until we then picked it as the book of the month for the book club read. I was like, where has this book been all my life? I was so excited to read it. It basically tells the life of Evelyn Hugo, who is this Hollywood star who has been there for a long time, and then she gets somebody to sort of chronicle her story, and she actually marries 7 husbands, but then eventually we get to find out who the real love of her life is. It has this old Hollywood mix. My goodness, if this book is made into a movie, I will be so happy. I would like jump. I'll be one of the first people to watch that movie. Like seriously, I totally loved it. In April, I started it off with romance. I read Get a Life, Chloe Brown. This was my introduction into the Brown sisters romance books written by Talia Hibbert. I thought it was a lovely read. I was like, yeah, I may not really like Redford, which was Chloe Brown's interest. He's not really my type of person, but I mean, whatever, we're here for the romance book. Very light, easy to enjoy. Of course, they hate each other at the beginning and then they fall in love at the end, and it's just so sweet. Next, my 9th book, I read Take a Hint, Danny Brown. This is like, Danny Brown is my favorite sister. I know I keep on saying I could just relate to her. Like, I really love Danny Brown. And let's talk about Zaf, who was her romantic interest. You guys, I totally fell in love with this person. I did a review on these books, and I think that they are perfect romance recommendations. If you're looking for something light, something funny in a way, something interesting, romantic, that will just make you swoon. I mean, sometimes we need a little bit of romance in life, okay? Like, life is already hard enough, so this is a good recommendation. And Zafir, perfect. Next up, I read The Mountains Sing by Nguyen Kermai, and this book was phenomenal. Like, it's a perfect perfect historical fiction book that was well executed, set in like Vietnam with Vietnamese traditions and a whole lot of like culture and tradition in it. You got to understand a lot of things that happened during the Great Famine. There was so much history that I didn't know, about Agent Orange and a lot of the consequences of the war, the Vietnamese War and the Great Famine and hunger, and a lot of things that happened during that period that on a normal day you would not even know about. So I learned so much from it, and I felt that it was beautifully executed. Definitely one of my top books for the year. When I was done with that, I read Shadow and Bone by Leigh Bardugo. I thought that it was a nice book. I think there's a Shadow and Bone series. I saw that it was coming to Netflix, and I wanted to just get a sense of what it was about so that I could read the 3 books before I now go and watch Netflix series. As I'm talking to you guys now, I still have not watched Netflix series. I don't know what's wrong with me. I don't know what I'm waiting for, or maybe because I didn't read the other 2 installments. But I thought it was okay. I didn't think it was mind-blowing. It was a nice fantasy book. The imagery was spot on. It was nice, but I was like, In May, I reread Trevor Noah's Born a Crime. Always a recommendation, any day, anytime. I absolutely love Trevor Noah. If you're looking for something to read that will lift your spirit, you can learn from, he'll make you laugh. It's perfectly humorous, well written. And this is an autobiography that I feel like he wrote it in his voice. Maybe because I listen to a lot of Trevor Noah's stand-up comedies and things like that. So I know how he speaks. I know how he relates. I know how he talks about a lot of things. Even growing up in South Africa during the apartheid regime, you learn a lot of things. And just growing up as basically a mixed race child, it was just so enlightening and funny. Then I listened to The Guest List. This was an audio book. Totally loved it. I enjoyed it. I mean, it's the ending, the plot twist had me like, oh my goodness, this is insane. I'm serious. Like when I was listening to it, I'm like, hey, whoa, like what's going on? It was so cool. Like I really love it. I feel like, yeah, the build-up was a lot, but come on. I mean, usually in this type of books, the last 5 chapters are probably like what would be the huge climax or whatnot. But I felt like the build-up was a lot, but it was perfect. It was a lovely read. Then afterwards, I did the most again and listened to Behind Her Eyes, the audio. I had seen the Netflix limited series, and I'm like, okay, I hadn't watched it yet, but I saw that it was there, and I'm like, let me go and read the book. So I had the audiobook on script and I listened to it. My goodness, this is one book that I was like, excuse you, like why would you just mess me up? I did a review on it, like you guys, I was in shock. I was like, what did I just read? What did I just listen to? I'm like, this is like a perfect psychological thriller if you're looking for something like this, because it will mess you up. And the adaptation on Netflix was perfect. Now that's what I call a book to screen adaptation. Perfect. I had a few reservations which I talked about in that review. You can go and check it out, but I mean, I thought it was great. Next up, I read The Gift of Imperfection. Totally loved this book. It was a book that I finished in such a short while. It taught me so much about using your imperfections, believing in yourself, using your imperfections to achieve things, falling in love with your journey and your imperfections, who you are, your flaws or whatever, just being more accepting of yourself. Then I listened to A Woman Is No Man. I liked it. I felt like it gave me a nice history, of the whole Palestinian-Israeli thing that was going on, and just really represented like women's struggle basically, especially as it was like a generational tale where it chronicled like a mother and her daughter and their individual struggles with marriages, with family and things like that, and religion and culture, and how some of these things are of course very disadvantageous to women in the society today. A very lovely book. Afterwards, I read What the Dogs Saw and Other Stories. This is by Malcolm Gladwell, a non-fiction book. On a normal day, I don't think I would have picked up this book to read or even finish, but it was a book club meet pick and I enjoyed it. It had like mini stories about the most seemingly mundane things, but how they came to be. So something like L'Oreal, or the history or research behind ketchup and why Heinz ketchup is doing so well, even if it's not like they do the most with marketing. Think about it, like when you think about ketchup, who's the #1 brand you think about? Or L'Oreal, where they got their tagline from, because you're worth it. How did that come about? Just some in-depth research on things that he had actually done. And I think that these were articles that he had put in the New York Times newspaper and sort of compiled everything into a book, and it was titled What the Dog Saw and Other Stories. perfect non-fiction book. I would definitely recommend if you're into that kind of thing, like research, psychology, understanding the why behind some of the things that you see today. In June, I listened to How Far You Have Come by Morgan Harper Nichols. This is an audiobook. Awesome book. I listened to that alongside All Along You Were Blooming, also by Morgan Harper Nichols. Very, very lovely. Oh my goodness. The best part about these books is the fact that she actually narrated these books herself, and I totally enjoyed it. Her voice is so calming, so soothing. When I listened to All Along You Were Blooming, man, I literally cried because it was so therapeutic. Like, it's one of the best books that I listened to in 2021 as an audiobook. I listened to it on script, and I love the fact that the book explores 4 different sections: your mind, your body, your soul, and she's able to like give you affirmations and just speak to your body, speak to your soul, make you feel whole again, like just purge everything. It's like a healing process. It's such a beautiful, and I think it's just like under 4 hours, so you're just sitting down there listening to her voice in your head, just helping you purge. When I was done, you guys, I felt so much lighter. I totally enjoyed it. Next up, I read His Only Wife. This was a nice book that I read. Honestly, it was really nice. I did a review on it, so I'm not going to go into it, but I totally enjoyed the storyline. And to think that this was Peace Adomedie's like debut novel, some of you guys can actually write. I loved it. Set in Ghana. Go and check out my review on this book, but I really loved it. Then also I delved into comics and sort of reignited my passion for comics again and graphic novels by reading World of Archie comics. Totally loved that. I love the fact that when I was growing up, I read Archie comics, and it brought back so many memories to me. So when I went to a bookstore and I saw it, I was like, I have to get it, and I have to read it for sure. So there was that, and I really enjoyed it. So if you read Archie comics, let me know in the comments below. And if you've read any of these books that I read, let me know in the comments below. In July, I started off with The 100 Wells of Salaga. This was a book club pick, and I read it. On a normal day, I don't think I would have really been interested in it. I thought that it was nice. I thought it was a nice read, but to be honest, it wasn't like mind-blowing for me. It left much to be desired. I couldn't really place like the time frame of when these things were happening. It was a nice story, but I don't know. I just felt like, okay, whatever, you know. I would probably give it like at most a 3/5, but hey, if you want to try it out, it's nice. Then I read Notes on Grief by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. Beautifully written. She wrote this book about especially when her dad died, she penned down some things and she was able to express herself. Very short, small book, but I thought that it was beautiful. You can check out a review that I did on that. Afterwards, I listened to an audio, Mother May I. Enjoyed it. It was a nice psychological thriller, dragged out for a little bit. At the end of the day, the climax was okay. It was nice, not particularly mind-blowing, but I enjoyed it and I enjoyed the ride. I thought that the people who performed it did an amazing job. Then I listened to the arrangement on audio. This is also by Chimamanda Adichie. I didn't know that this book actually existed. I was looking for short audiobooks that I could use to pass time, and this was one that came up, and I was like, okay, yeah, let's listen to it. It was the funniest, weirdest kind of audiobook. So it's basically like a fiction book, obviously, but chronicles the lives of like Donald Trump and his wife and his daughter and people in the White House while they're there, the kind of things that they would say. And it was okay, I guess. It was just weird for me. I was like, okay, I don't know what to do with this, but I think that it was nicely written. Of course, it's Chimamanda, but I was like, yeah, I think it was a short story that she did for the New York Times or something like that. In August, I read Educated by Tara Westover. This is absolutely one of the best books that I read in 2021. Chronicles her life. It's a perfect autobiography. Wow, like I learned so much from Tara Westover. I learned so much. If there's one book that you're looking for an autobiography or you're looking for a non-fiction book that you should read, this is one book that you should read because it was amazing. I did a review on it. It was a powerful memoir, and I think that everybody should read it. Next up, I read Bitek. It was an interesting small book that was sent to me by the author. I learned so much from it. I thought it was okay. It was nice. Then I listened to The Man Who Didn't Call, an audiobook. It was selected as Book of the Month for the Reader's Hub. I thought it was okay. I thought it was nice. At first, when I read it, I thought it was like a psychological thriller. Then I got to know that it was a romantic novel, and it was okay. It was a nice discussion that we had around it. Not particularly mind-blowing for me. Then I listened to The Secret Lives of Church Ladies, and this book was one of my favorite books in 2021. It's a collection of short stories. I cannot remember the last time I fell in love with a collection of short stories. I did a review on it because this book absolutely deserved an independent book review on it, so you guys can check it out. Then I read Brave Not Perfect, and I totally loved it. I think a lot of things that I've read in Brave Not Perfect has stuck with me till today. And it was written by the CEO of Girls Who Code, and she was just talking about how girl children typically grow up to try to make everything perfect, as opposed to boy children who are taught to like go out into the world, go and play in the sandbox, go crazy, do the monkey bars, and they grow up with this brave stance in life, and they're courageous to eventually take decisions in life later, while we ladies are like, oh, you know, no, it has to be perfect, it has to be good. We're taught to put our legs together when we're sitting down, we're taught to not climb on things or explore or do, in quotes, crazy rough things. We're just taught to be girls, and it just showed like the effect on that, and how we can as women basically like reinvent the things that we think about when it comes to taking brave decisions and courageous decisions. I think it's a lovely book, and I feel like everybody should definitely read it, whether you're a woman, you're a young girl, you have a teenager, you have, you know, a son, whatever. I think everybody, that's a book that everybody should read. Then I listened to The Secret by Rhonda Byrne. I thought that this was a nice production. It was an audiobook that I listened to on script. I learned a lot from it. There were some things I had reservations about, but I learned a lot, you know, just about the type of things that you say to yourself, the powerful law of attraction, how you are what you attract, how you need to be careful about the words that you speak into the universe, what you believe about yourself, how to take care of your health, your body, and things like that. It was a beautiful, powerful book. Then I read Butter, Honey, Pig, Bread by Francesca Equiasi. This is also one of my top books for 2021. Totally loved it. My goodness, I did a book review on it, so I'm not even going to like go in depth to talk about this, but this book was simply amazing. Like, this is a debut novel? Is that what you're saying? This is a debut novel. I totally enjoyed. Then I was able to read Escape, which is like a Nigerian erotica fiction kind of tale, and I actually enjoyed it. It was something that I could finish in a couple of days. Loved the print. I thought that it was a nice read if you're into that kind of thing. I read AMERICANAH, by the way, you guys. I forgot to add that. We selected it as the book of the month. I read it. I had read it a long time ago, but then I came back to read it and I thought it was nice. This is by CHIMAMANDA, NGOZI, ADICHIE. A lovely one. So yeah, this is like the summary of all the books that I read in 2021. You can tell from my expression when I'm talking about a book if I really loved it, and a book that I'm like, you know, it was okay. But this was basically my experience. I read quite a number of amazing books, and in my next video, I'm going to be sharing with you my top 10 or 11 or 15, depending on how many I'm able to squeeze into that list, books of 2021. So if you made it to the end of this video, let me know how your 2021 was. How many books were you able to read? Let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching this. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like this video so that it is referred to other people. And I will see you in my next video. Bye.